feel left out. Pastor, you going to give the invitation or you have somebody else? Madam Secretary, would you please read the call?
We read the call, Mayor. We just needed to start with the Pledge of
Oh,
Allegiance.
you already read it? Okay. Please rise and face the flag, pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Pastor Brad Berg, would you please lead us in the invocation?
Let us pray. Father God, we thank you so much for your love, your grace, and your mercy. Lord, your word says to pray for those in authority over us, and so we do that tonight. We pray for those leaders here. Lord, we know also in our system of government that between now and November 2nd, the authority is the voters. So, Lord, we pray that you'll lead and guide the voters. Open their eyes to anything they need to see. Lord, we know that life comes from you, and anytime we make a move to terminate innocent life, we're going against you. So, Lord, we ask you to give us leaders that are pro-life, that are pro-God, that are pro-America. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Please be seated. We're very honored to have two special guests, Senator Lucio here. Thank you for honoring us with your presence here, Senator. I know you have an item. We're going to move it up shortly, and thank you for doing what you do for Brownsville. And you had a great dinner at your house and enjoyed spending some time with you, and we're here to work with you. Thank you, Senator. And we have Deborah Littrell of the Texas State Library and Archives Commission, which the Senator, I'm sure, will tell us more about. Both of you welcome to our chambers, and hopefully you enjoy your stay here. Brownsville's pretty unique. With that, let's accommodate the Senator by moving item 10 up.
So
I can move, have a
Second.
motion. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 10. Would you please read it, Madam Secretary?
Item 10, consideration and action to accept a grant award in the amount of $40,210 from the Texas State Library and Archives Commission as part of the Lone Star Libraries Grant Program for the Brownsville Public Library System.
Mayor, Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the opportunity to appear before you with me today as an outstanding leader in state government, representing the Library and Archives Commission is Deborah Littrell to my left. Also representing the Texas Library Association and employed also by the South Texas College in McAllen is Mr. Jesus Campos. And of course, our Director of the Library Services here in Brownsville, quite a gentleman, head librarian, Juan J. Guerra to my immediate right. Nearly every town in America has a public library because they're one of the most basic building blocks of civilization, a source of learning and growth that fosters dreams and helps produce informed, involved, and responsible, successful citizens. Now, the Lone Star Libraries grants bring precious tax dollars back to communities and help these communities support one of their most critical public assets. Until the Texas State Legislature began funding the Lone Star Libraries program in 2002, Texas was one of just 6 states that did not give direct financial support to public libraries. As of fiscal year 2010, This program has provided $35.1 million in state funds to 541 accredited public libraries. Fiscal year 2011 will make it $44.1 million. Between the fiscal years of 2007 and 2008, these libraries experienced an increase of nearly 2.2 million visits, for a total of nearly 74 million before the recession was in full swing. Now, cuts in jobs, programs, and services have hurt Texans severely, causing more people than ever to turn to libraries for essential needs from literacy, language, and computer instruction to job searching coaching. That happens right here in our own community. Because of school cutbacks, many students have nowhere else to turn for additional learning resources or even study space. For young children, library early literacy programs may mean the difference between a life of permanent hardship or confident learning and productivity. For others, libraries provide social interaction and personal enrichment. Without libraries, the quality of Texans' lives would be seriously impacted. Lone Star Library's funds have helped services and the programming to Texans of all economic levels, especially those who need it most. Libraries are part of the solution for disadvantaged communities. In addition, Mayor, Commissioners, in addition to these free materials, libraries provide the only free source of internet access for 67% of Texas's population. That's quite a bit. Internet usage has driven more people to libraries, not less, and librarians have become even more valuable because they help users navigate the internet to find relevant answers, apply for jobs, pay taxes, and otherwise participate in society. Access equals opportunity. And because of the Lone Star Libraries program, more Texas libraries can serve everyone who comes through their doors, including tomorrow's leaders. Libraries may use Lone Star Libraries funds in whatever ways best meet their patrons' needs. These grants provide invaluable supplements to the local funding that keeps libraries alive. In closing, I want to say that the libraries partnership, between the state of Texas and local jurisdictions often means the difference between surviving and thriving for both libraries and the people they serve. In behalf of the state of Texas and the Texas State Library and Archives Commission, it is my pleasure to join with our representatives here to present the Brownsville Public Library System with this check for $40,210.
If you'll come up here
Congratulations.
and present it that way.
Congratulations.
So the camera can catch it right there. Camera, there you go. Senator.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Good to see you again. Mayor, may we also recognize that Jesus is one of our former library directors here in Brownsville when Southmost barely started. So thank you for coming back and being here. Thank you.
And I want to express our gratitude to the Texas State Library and the Archives Commission for this wonderful check. It's going to help us out. And we are a disadvantaged community, Ms. Luttrell, so please carry our message of gratitude to your commission and everybody that has made this possible. Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Luttrell. Thank you so much.
Mayor, Commissioners, I would be remiss if I left today without thanking each and every one of you for the support you've given me and the support you've given our community when they come together in public prayer. I want to thank you in their behalf. The citizens of Brownsville are grateful to all of you for opening the doors. We've met now 3 months in a row in what we call the Prayers for Peace, trying to obviously bring an end to the violence on the border. It's a big issue, but I believe, quite frankly, that without God's intervention, we cannot do that. He and only He can soften the heart and heart. And I want to thank each one of you for your generous contributions and participation. Most of you have been there and you've spoken very eloquently, all of you. We're still waiting for you, Eddie. And Mayor Pro Tem Rick Longoria, you're also welcome. But with that, we will have our next one. Unfortunately, it was scheduled when you all will meet on the 19th. But we will pray for the commission as well.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you. Okay, let's go back to action item, discuss executive session.
Move to approve?
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item one, mayor's report. Okay, I will be brief. I attended the 7th Border Binational Health Week conference at the Convention Center. It was great to be part of it, to see the issues affecting both countries come together and being represented by people who deal with these issues day in and day out to ensure the public safety of the citizens of both countries, and the cooperation and the alliances formed. I enjoyed being there and giving the welcome. I also went to the University of Texas TSC board meeting, where the issue of the junior college and the university perhaps merging as one. Based on what the input I got from the citizens, I went and spoke on behalf of the city that the university is a crown jewel of Brownsville. And it's been an asset for the past 19 years and a very unique partnership that made it possible. I think we just need to move forward and continue to find ways to improve it without losing the junior college, but also with having a clear definition of what the purpose is of the junior college, and also to make it affordable for our citizens here in Brownsville. The tuition rates that there are junior college rates, not university rates that are a little higher than the junior college. It was good to see the community come together and voicing their opinions, and the board hearing everybody. I know it's a tough decision. Like I told the board, you can't please everybody, but if you're in search of the truth and you do what's right, I think you can't go wrong. And it was good to see the community coming together, voicing their concerns, their suggestions, and their support for this great unique partnership that we have that made it possible 19 years ago to have a university here. So I think it's an asset, and I hope that they will not be rushed into a decision that they will regret later, but to take their time in researching and trying to do what's right and the best thing for our community and the students of this region that it serves. I did some traveling, meetings, and so forth, and I had the honor of attending that 7th Annual Binational Border Conference, and I want to thank Art Rodriguez and all the staff that it took quite a bit of undertaking to put it together. The senator was there also, Senator Lucio, and a lot of key people were there. Commissioner Gowan was the master of ceremony. She did an excellent job. And I think it was just good to see that we're recognizing that we have to work with our partners to the south. We can't ignore what takes place over there, because it does affect us in one way or in another. So it's important to have those lines of communication, especially when it comes to the health concerns that affect both countries, and especially along the border. The H1N1 is a good example of what transpired in recent memory, to where everybody was taken by surprise by this epidemic, and I think we dealt with it the best we could based on the information we were getting, and I think we contained it. So it shows the cooperation, how effective it can be by dealing with these type of issues in health concerns. That's my report on the mayor, and then we have Commissioner Atkinson, who's absent.
Mayor, before we continue, just as a matter of housekeeping, we brought item 10 out. Are we going to take action on it, or are we going to wait till it follows on the other?
It was an action item?
It was an action item.
I apologize. Take the action. Make a
Move to
motion.
approve?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We accepted the 40,210. Thank you very much. Okay, so the next item on the report, I'm having problems seeing.
We have
Edward
Commissioner
Camarillo.
Camarillo.
Briefly, Mayor, about 2 weeks ago, we held a Bring Your Own Bag Day outside City Hall Saturday morning here in downtown. It was very, very successful. We gave out about 400 bags. The customers were asked, the citizens were asked to bring in, swap their plastic. We collected at least 800,000 plastic bags. This was the first event for downtown. Thought it went very, very well. I appreciate Eladio and Jose from Public Works. They gave up their time and they brought the kids over to help with the collection process and the distribution. So it was a great success. We look forward to doing another one in 2 weeks. We'll let the commission know if you all want to come out. We'll look at 2 different sites, one outside City Hall and another in Market Square. We've also, through Key Brownsville Beautiful, we've submitted 4 grant applications to the HEB Green Bag Grant. We were allowed to submit as many as we wanted. We put together 4. I wrote 1, and we had staff write 2, and we had partnership with IWA. My brother Mike wrote another one. We'll see next month if we were successful in either one of the 4. There's $50,000 to be distributed throughout the state of Texas for all Keep Texas Beautiful affiliates. So hopefully we're successful, and hopefully we can form some new partnerships with the grant monies. I also want to inform the commission, 2 weeks ago, we kicked off the KBB BISD High School Football Recycling Challenge. And what that is we've asked each of the high schools at the last 3 home games at Sam Stadium to see who can collect the most plastic bottles. The city's partnered with BISD to go ahead and collect them at the end of each game, weigh them, and then on our Facebook page, which is Keep Brownsville Beautiful. Those of you that want to, Facebook us, please do so. They'll have the totals. At the end of the season, the school with the most pounds collected of plastic will receive a free outdoor movie night with a meal and a T-shirt, and probably some other prize. We're still working that out. So the schools are excited. The students are doing real well. This is a great partnership between the city and the school district. They've allowed us to get to the stadium and have access with our bins and our containers, and allow city staff to come in the evening and pick up the plastics that are collected. So we're excited about the program. We think it's something that's beneficial to the city. And next year we look forward to starting at the beginning of the season rather than towards the end. But as you know, it's always the fall semester is always crazy. So really excited for all the students that are participating. I encourage all the schools to keep collecting plastics, and I appreciate all of staff's help with the project. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gowan?
Yes, thank you. The Brownsville Farmers Market opening day was Saturday. Season 3 kicked off on October the 2nd at Linear Park and was a great success and celebration of family and wellness, with 1,000 people coming to join in. My thanks to Commissioner Camarillo for joining me and welcoming the crowd. And as always, my thanks to Parks and Recreation and the Health Department for their assistance and enthusiasm with producing the market. On Sunday, October the 3rd, we had the arrival of state and federal health department dignitaries from both the United States and Mexico. Brownsville was chosen, as the mayor pointed out, to host the seventh annual Binational Health Week inaugural ceremony. This is an unprecedented honor for Brownsville and was largely in part to the collaborative efforts between the Brownsville Health Department, the Parks and Rec Department, and the School of Public Health in designing the Brownsville Farmers Market in its efforts to reduce obesity. The U.S.-Mexico Border Health Commission was established 10 years ago to provide international leadership to optimize health and the quality of life along the border. The celebratory events are a partnership of the U.S. Mexican Border Health Commission, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the Mexico Secretariat of Health, the Health Initiative of the Americas, the Pan American Health Organization, and the 10 United States-Mexico border states. Its goal is to promote sustainable partnerships to address border health problems, and this year's theme was the reduction of childhood obesity. Sunday, the VIPs were treated to a tour of Midi Cultural District, the Linear Park, where a presentation at the Brownsville Fine Arts Museum was given to them with respect to the Brownsville Farmers Market, and a tour of the new free, and I mean that's the name of the playground as well as free playground adjacent to the Parks and Recs Department that was entirely financed by grant funds from the Border Health Commission. On Sunday evening, the group was invited to a welcoming reception hosted by IBC and Ambiotech, where Congressman Solomon Ortiz addressed the group, and my thanks to the city manager, Charlie Kabler, and Commissioner Longoria for joining us at that event as well. Monday was the inaugural ceremony that began with the mayor's welcome and continued with comments from Senator Lucio, Representative Norma Salazar, who is Senator Lucio's more or less equivalent in Mexico, both the Mexican and U.S. Consulate, the Office of the Secretary of Health, HS Region 6, Dr. Lackey, the Commissioner of Texas Department of State Health Services, and Dr. Brian Smith, the Regional Medical Director of the Texas Department of State Health Services, as well as many of their Mexican counterparts. Ms. Petty's presentations included comments such as, Brownsville is setting the bar on affecting change in ways that other communities should follow, and she eagerly accepted the Let's Move proclamation adopted by the City Commission a few weeks ago. Today, a research symposium was held at ITech in conjunction with University of Texas at Brownsville and the School of Public Health, where we were treated to over 10 posters of local research going on in efforts that had to do with border communities. All week, there are events that are free to the public in celebration of the week. Each commissioner's been given this schedule of events. You can find it on the city website as well as, on the city website, as well as in the paper. There's several days that it's been out. In closing, I would like the commission and the city to recognize and thank Art Rodriguez and his staff for the incredible job that they did to produce the events. I would also like to thank the Parks and Rec Department, in particular Hawk Scott, for their exceptional work as well. The city is lucky to have your skill and enthusiasm, and you are proving that the health department is about way more than mosquito spraying, and Parks and Rec is about way more than cutting the grass. You are an integral part of the partnership with other entities in our community, and you are creating promise, hope, and change for all of us and our children. Thank you, Art.
Commissioner Zamora just handed me a note. For those I did not know myself, our Parks Director, Chris Patterson's mother, passed away this morning, so please have him and his family in your prayers. Also neglected to mention something very exciting that happened this week. Brownsville Paws, which I'm honored to have been a co-founder of that organization, and has led the way in the valley as far as the humane treatment of animals. Joined Dillard's. They allowed us to show pets inside Dillard's and allowed pets into Dillard's. We're changing the pet culture very slowly. You might see that up in Washington and Austin or someplace else, but not along the border. They allowed pets roam the store on a leash, and we hosted it up for adoptions. We had a lot of applications, so a lot of adoptions. We're hoping that this would be another avenue with PetSmart to find good homes for pets. And I want to thank Dillard's for taking such a lead in this and being the example to other retailers that they can be part of the solution in dealing with the overpopulation of pets that we have along the border. So I want to thank Dillard's, and particularly Sean, who works in the cosmetic department, who made it her project and we're very proud to be associated with Dillard's. I encourage people to go there and shop and thank them for their support of this great organization, Brownsville Paws, and all the rescue organizations that work tirelessly to find good homes for pets. Otherwise, they get euthanized. We euthanize 7,000 pets a year. That's what we're euthanizing. But slowly but surely, with no money, just volunteers, we're making a lot of headway. And I want to thank Dillard's. The other thing I neglected to mention is the Charles Stillman Bicentennial celebration will be taking place November 4th at the Convention Center, at the Midland Convention Center. The tickets will be on sale for $20 to help cover some of the costs, along with the sponsors that we're getting to host that celebration, citywide celebration of the 200th birthday of our founder. We will also be doing a time capsule with Stillman Elementary. And the time capsule will be open in 40 years when the city of Brownsville will celebrate its bicentennial anniversary and opened up at that time. So we're preparing a time capsule to what we envision Brownsville to be in 40 years. So it's going to be a lot of fun celebrating the bicentennial Charles Stillman Day, which is the founder of our city, and we hope that a lot of people will participate, and we thank the sponsors that are helping us out. And for those who are interested in buying tickets, $20 will get you a 3-course meal, entertainment, and I think you get more than your money's worth. It'll be November 4th. Tickets will be on sale at Stillman Museum, the Brownsville Historic Museum, the Brownsville Museum of Fine Arts, and Convention Business Bureau. So for those who are interested, when they are available, there will be posters announcing it, and hopefully we'll get the community out there. Let's go to presentations to the Employee of the Month.
Mayor, members of the commission, please help me welcome the Employee of the Month for October. And as we see all the presentation from Senator Lucio, we want to recognize one of our library staff members, James McCoy. James has been with us for 11 years, started in 1999, and as you know, he's a Public Information Service Department assistant director for our library system. He's been there throughout his 11 years with the city, starting off as the automation specialist. I'm glad you're here, James.
He's got a
Head of
time.
Technical Services, System Analyst, and of course now he's current Assistant position under Jerry. During his time with the city, he's been very instrumental in, of course, achieving what, as we saw today, a grant presentation by Senator Lucio, over $10 million worth of grants to the city and its library system. Two of his most recent accomplishments include $865,000 grant monies from the Department of Commerce that will be go toward the expansion of the Central Library computer system, and over $66,000 in a community development block grant that will be used to buy a digital planetarium system for our library as well. He's very dedicated. Of course, we all know him. He's very much responsible for running our channel and all the program that occurs in that channel. Works very closely with us. Is always there to offer any and all information and assistance to any and all city staff that needs them. He visits our office many times with Jerry's consent to help us out with a lot of things we have to do here. As Employee of the Month, he is eligible for the Employee of the Year award in December, and he receives, of course, what we're giving out this year, the Employee of the Month pin, our new watch.
It's a Rolex?
It's an imitation, Mayor. And of course, our plaque that and James and Larry helped create this plaque for us when we had the Biggest Loser Award given to us. And now we give it out to the employees as they receive the Employee of the Month award. Public Information Service Department in the month of October, outstanding service provided to the citizens of our city. Congratulations.
Congratulations, James.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Just want to thank all my staff that helps me in my day-to-day operations. Without them, I wouldn't be standing up here getting this award, so dedication goes to them as well. Thank you.
Thank you. That is what you did. Thank you, Jerry. Okay, consent items, agenda items.
Consent agenda items A through M.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, please.
Item 5, consideration and action to appoint or reappoint one member and one alternate to represent the city of Brownsville on Amigos del Valle Board of Directors.
Ben Medina.
Honorable Mayor, City Commissioners, the current board member is Dr. Rose Gowan, and I'm the alternate. What we discussed was that I will request if you can appoint me to be the board member, and she will be the alternate. I've attended most of the meetings, but the board does not, as an alternate, you cannot participate in the committees of the board. So it would be better if I could attend as a board member, so I can be able to attend the committee meetings.
If I may, Mayor,
Ben,
I'd like to explain it, but go ahead if you have questions.
you know, one of the hardest working people I know is Ben
I agree.
for the city. He takes on, he can't say no. That's his problem. He takes on so much, and I think the city manager will agree.
I'll agree that that's one of his problems, yes.
He takes on so much, he spreads himself so thin. You know, I just wish you would, you know, cut back a little more so you could, you do a great job, Ben, and you make so many meetings, and you facilitate, and you assist. I know because I see it, I work in day out, day in with you, and I'd like to see, you know, for y'all to consider putting someone on.
I'd like to explain. The issue is that this board, which is very important, most of its members, except for Ben and I, are up the valley. All of their meetings are held in Mercedes, not Lyford, Mercedes,
Westlaco
that way.
and
And they call their meetings with 24 to 48 hours notice all year long, despite the fact that I've asked several times to please be given at least a week's notice, but they don't do it. And Ben has asked them as well. So you're right. None of us here on the commission, I think, can drop everything to go to an 11 o'clock meeting the following day in Mercedes just because they can't put out a schedule ahead of time. Ben does go to the meetings and did when I believe Commissioner Camarillo was on the board as well. I have attended one. I would like to participate, but I have to have some notice. They have needs with respect to their food bank and other innovative things that I feel that I can contribute to. But it is very frustrating to get them to give us some kind of a schedule. I mean, all of us have jobs. I'm sure that Commissioner Longoria cannot leave school the next day to get to a meeting. I'm sure Mr. Troyani cannot leave court to get the next day to a meeting, nor Commissioner Zamora or Commissioner Camarillo or yourself, Mayor. And that's the difficulty with this board. It's not that I don't want to serve or that any of us don't want to serve. It's the fact the way they function, they don't have any consideration for other people's time.
Could I make a suggestion? Because, I mean, Ben is very valuable, I think, to all of us. And going all the way over there for a meeting, and he's got so much going on over here. Is there anybody under you, Ben, that could pretend?
I beg your
keep
pardon?
track? Is there anybody under you from your department?
Oh, yes, there's
that could
plenty of people.
attend
Yeah,
instead of you?
definitely. There's 22 other people.
I mean, that's a suggestion, because I know
You
how
see,
valuable
the
he is.
thing about if Ben is not the member, then he can't or let's say someone in Ben's department. If they are not the member, then they can't serve on the subcommittees. It's only the member. So we get counted out
Or
of being, or votes, we get counted out of participating because of the way they function.
Yeah, but I'm saying, is there any way we could appoint another staff member from your department that's competent enough to?
Well, we can bring it back to you, of course, Mayor, but the issue here is whoever you appoint has to, you know, what we're asking is for that
Yeah, I
staff
understand.
member
That's
to
what
be
it
the
may
board
yeah,
member.
That's what I'm saying. Because, I mean, I know it's gonna create, if it's true, and I have no reason not to doubt what is true, that Gowan is saying, it's gonna create havoc with your schedule.
Well, the thing is that it's in the schedule, I've been attending all the meetings for, since what, the last 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
Can I ask
I
a
mean,
question?
Well, let me just say this,
If
well,
you have
then
no
not all,
problem,
'cause I remember, I'm
No,
up to
no, I
minutes,
understand, not every meeting,
but
but
you
most.
literally have to give up your whole day, literally.
know,
You really
just-
do.
Just to
That's
be a
what
part
I'm
of that board, and it is difficult. I mean, they're great people, but you give up your whole entire day.
That's good, I wish it was
Commissioner, I'm sorry.
somebody, not, the director, but the staff member that, because I know, you know, if they're only announcing the meetings within 48 hours, something
They,
like that.
all year long, am I right? Am I right, Edward?
Yeah, they give
It
very
is
short
true.
notice, and we're trying to fix that, talk to the director and stuff, we're trying to fix it, but
Okay,
hopefully
well,
they'll
but I
make
mean,
some-
if you want to continue, why should I oppose that? I'm just
No,
suggesting
we,
that.
we could bring it to you, Mayor, or the commission, if you want, with names, it's not me, somebody else, but, you know, let's,
I would feel better that we're using our resources, human resources a little better by appointing somebody else than one of our chief directors here that's invaluable to us. That-
I would like to remain on the board as, in whatever capacity, because Ben does have a lot of good ideas about the food bank and expanding in that area that I really feel very passionate about. But on a subcommittee level, then there's more area for ahead scheduling and all of that. In the whole year, there was only one meeting that happened in Harlingen, and they called me at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon to be there the next day at 11 o'clock, which would have meant rescheduling 40 patients.
So what do you want to do? You want to bring it back? You want to bring it back?
I'll leave it up to you, Ben.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Ben, does your department policy allow for, say, a Noe Puga, a Lucy Garza, somebody like that to go attend this kind of a meeting? Within your department, does the policy exist where, because they are on city business, they are allowed to go
yes.
to attend one of these
Of
meetings?
course, yes.
So, you know, you're leaving it up to him to bring it back? Okay, can we have a motion?
Why don't we,
Table it?
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Motion to
Table
bring it back, table it.
Second.
Motion table, second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 6.
Item 6, public hearing and action on first reading of on ordinance number 2010-1532, authorizing the issuance of City of Brownsville, Texas Utility System Revenue Refunding Bonds, Series 2010, providing for payment of the principal of and interest on the bonds by a lien on and pledge of the net revenues of the system, providing the terms and conditions of such bonds, and resolving other matters incident and relating to the issuance, payment, security, sale, and delivery of such bonds, including the approval and distribution of an official statement stipulating the terms and conditions for the issuance of additional revenue bonds on a parity therewith, authorizing the execution of a paying agent registrar agreement, a purchase contract, and an escrow deposit letter, complying with the requirements of the Depository Trust Company, delegating the authority to the city manager and certain members of the City of Brownsville Public Utilities Board to execute certain documents relating to the sale of bonds, enacting other provisions incident and related to the subject and purpose of this ordinance, and providing for an effective date.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners. My name is Andrew Garcia, CFO for Brownsville PV. This item seeks consideration of some revenue refunding bonds, an opportunity we currently have available due to favorable market conditions. Mr. Noe Hinojosa Estrada Hinojosa is here with a presentation that provides additional information for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Noe Hinojosa is financial advisor to the city and the PUB. Basically, page 2 on this presentation we're giving you kind of gives you a perspective of what the market is doing. Rates are pretty resilient. They continue to be an all-time low, and considering where the PUB's debt is and what the Water Development Board, in this case, what we're doing is we're dealing with a state agency. We're going in, we've talked to them about taking them out of some bonds and bringing them out to the market and getting the benefit by bringing them to the market. And basically, when you go to page 4, you see what we're talking about. The PUB's debt right now, it's about $299,210,000, and it's got two types of bonds, what we call in our business senior lien bonds and junior lien obligations. And what we're looking here is basically at the bottom 2 rows, $6,270,000 of bonds issued back in 2005, and about $5,980,000 issued back in 2005 also, as Series Bs. Those bonds today can be callable. In other words, very similar to when you and I go refinance our personal mortgages. We can refinance our mortgage. We don't pay any penalties on them because they can be refinanced anytime. In the municipal bond market, you normally wait 10 years. So, in essence, going back to Series 2005, when those bonds were issued, actually, we had an extraordinary call provision with the Water Development Board where we could actually call the bonds in 08 or in 10. Well, you see there's a column there that says call date. That call date basically is the one that we're taking advantage of, where basically we don't have to go fund an escrow. We're basically going to borrow the money and pay off the Water Development Board, and the new loan will be equal to the terms of the loan that was issued back in 05. So I'll take you from this page over to the next page, page 5, and you'll see the difference in rates. We're swapping interest rates, if anything. You look at the column second from left to right. Those are the current rates that we're paying on these bonds. In 11, 3.7%, out to 405 in 2018. The other bonds are 445 in 11 and 5% in 19. The new rates will be, we think, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2% on the second column from right to left. You'll see 11's at 2% all the way through 15, then 2.5 twice, and then 3%. Same thing occurs on the 5B series. On the next page, page 6, that is in essence what this financing does. For financing about $12 million, we could get the PUB $1 million in savings. Okay? That's our estimate. So what we have before you, as it is customary, is we bring an order prepared by bond counsel of the PUB so that you can entertain through a hearing, entertain the adoption of the order, if in fact you believe that the savings are consistent with what you'd like to achieve. Just for market purposes, just so you know, when you go to page 7, there's a little square there on the top right-hand corner. The very bottom row of that square shows that we have an average interest rate of 4.45% thereabouts of the existing bonds, and we'll be replacing that rate with the column right above it of 2.25%. So we're taking out $12.25 million right above that, and we will be achieving about $936,000, which is second column from the top. The next number of 7.64%, that's a percent of the present value savings on the refunded bonds. We're right now, across the state, our industry's literally been under assault. We're literally going to the market with about 4 to 8 deals just in our firm, exchanging this kind of financings for clients all across the state. Give you an example, I was involved personally in the financing for the rail system in Dallas. It was a $700 million project. We got a 40-year loan at a 3.25%. That's how low these rates are. So in essence, what we're bringing to you is something that the market has presented. You did have a lender called the Texas Water Development Board. We had to go and walk through them and negotiate with them certain terms, and they said, not a problem. If the commission so chooses, go do the deal. And that's what the deal is about. At this point, I'll stop and entertain any questions you all may have.
Commissioners? The questions, this is an action item? That's a
If-
public hearing? Anybody want to speak? If not, close public hearing. Motion?
Second.
Close. Motion, the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. An action item?
Move to approve.
Second.
Approved, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Public comments?
consideration and action to consider obtaining proposals or statements of qualifications for hiring of a consultant to perform a management and organizational assessment of the city of Brownsville.
Mayor, if I may, Dr. Gowan and myself put this on the agenda. I believe PUB had done a similar assessment in 2006 or 2007. And what we're looking at is after we've come through this budget process is we'd like to make sure that we are providing the best services that we possibly can, given the circumstances, given the budget, and that we have a baseline to go on. I don't believe that a study of this type has been done at the city before, and what we're looking at is we would want to go out for RFQs to have proposals so that we can have an idea of what it would actually cost to do. I know that the PUB study was somewhere between $250,000 and $300,000 after the whole thing was done. I would think since we're a smaller entity that it would be less than that, but I'd like to see what prices would come back out. The PUB Management Organization, I believe that assessment was done by R.W. Beck. I think they also handle municipalities as well as utilities, but I would like to go out for RFQs to a wide variety of people so we have an independent assessor come in. Obviously there'd be an executive summary, there'd be planning and management organization structure. They're going to look at the financial services, and I believe, given our talks with some of the PUB board members, that some people at PUB were thinking about having a renewal of their own assessment, and so if we could do that in conjunction with PUB, we could probably save time, money, and have an overall system assessment that could be done. Given those parameters, I'd ask that the commission authorize us to go out for RFQs, get a response from qualified participants so that we can then set a baseline. And so as we move forward with the budgetary constraints that we do have, we can assess if we're doing the things that we need to do to get us in a situation where we can provide the services that are required based on the tax base that we have and also the sales tax rates that we're having at this income that we're having this time, and also our consideration and assistance from PUB.
I would echo what Commissioner Camarillo what Commissioner Troyani has said and mention as well that at the Infrastructure Committee that he and Commissioner Camarillo and Commissioner Atkinson and I attended, there was quite a bit of talk about better collaboration and better communication and looking at how we best work together with a type of study by an independent entity such as this, in an effort to not only improve the efficiency between the two organizations, but as he said, be able to provide services that we need to provide to our citizens in the best possible manner.
Mayor, just to follow on those lines, I believe we all can agree that it's critical to have an external group that is not familiar to the city or somebody who hasn't done work within the city and PUB, so that it could be, so we want to be as transparent, but we want the public to be aware that this isn't a group or an entity that we're going to hold by the hand and say, tell me what I want, tell me what I want to hear. It's basically let them go to work, select an agency to help go to work for the city and for PUB to show us what we need to, what we should be doing, and help us lead us down a positive direction.
Commissioners, would this also consist of evaluations of our city manager, department heads, city attorney, or is that something that we would do in conjunction with this?
Part of the process, and just to answer your question, part of the process is that interviews would be done of all stakeholders. Any person who is the city manager, the city staff, department directors, city commissioners, all, including the mayor, participants would be interviewed by the consulting team. They would go through and talk about what each individual thinks their role and their function is within the organization. They'd come back, they'd talk about the organizational culture, organizational structure. They'd look at things such as the ratio between salaries and job performance. Do we have the right mix of employees for the task at hand? In the past, well, I should say in other organizations, It can be a very detailed analysis of the organizational chart, structure, culture, and yes, those individuals would be evaluated, those people would be brought into the process and would be participants in the process.
But we would have an opportunity to provide input on the
course.
evaluations of our
Well,
city manager, city attorney, and department.
What they're going to do is they're going to do an external evaluation, and we're going to provide information. And normally, the way it works is we would provide our information, and then they would do an assessment, report back to us what their assessment was, and then we make decisions on policy as to what our evaluation is. That is separate.
We did something similar in the nineties. And, speaking to the departments as to, you know. We did something similar in the nineties when Kirby Ligero was here, in order to bring people up to the job description and as far as the pay scale in comparison to other entities and stuff like that. As far as evaluating management, that's a city commission job. I don't have no problem with what's being requested, really none at all. I mean, it can only help. The problem I have is that it's gonna be very costly. It doesn't hurt to go out for RFPs here. But you're looking at minimum $300,000. The problem I see is that the city, I don't wanna say this commission, the city has a bad habit of doing these studies and shelves them, and doesn't use them, doesn't apply them. And that's very unfortunate. And that's my only concern. We do it at PUB all the time, but we try to follow those roadmaps. But PUB is a little different from the city. PUB is more capital intensive. This is more service oriented. So, you know, that's the biggest difference here. There's some certain things you can't do nothing about, like the public safety, the cost, civil contracts. The evaluation should encompass the commission too, I think. You should, not just the department heads, how they perceive us and what our roles be, and how we're performing, and how we're not meeting those things. But it also should have benchmarks with a plan to get there, and you know the cost, you know what you got to do and all that stuff. You know, it's going to be very, very expensive. We're already doing it through Imagine Brownsville.
That's another thing I was going to
Yeah,
mention.
you know,
Wasn't
we're
there a
already doing it.
component
We
of that
spent
that covers that?
$850,000 in Imagine Brownsville up front. And now I think it's costing us, between all the entities, like $300,000 a year or something like that. And, you know, I know it's the intent is good. I mean, I know the good people are there. They're well-meaning. But the dynamics of operating a city changes from day to day. You know, hurricane comes, you know, the peso devaluation, or the bridge tolls go down, and as much as we'd like to do certain things, we're prohibited because we can't even balance our budget. You know. So if we're willing to spend $300,000 with a commitment, when it comes back, and you know, R.W. Beck is a leader in this stuff, and there's others there. But, you know, if we make the commitment to do this, one is to apply it and follow the roadmap. I don't see no problem with it, but the key is applying.
If I may, I agree, it doesn't cost anything to go out for proposal.
No, it
And
doesn't.
if it's too expensive, well, then we'll need to deal with that at that point. With respect to the long-range plan and how we function, we adopted the long-range plan, and it is a roadmap, but it is not a guarantee that any of the entities will follow the roadmap. It's up to us in the entities in this commission to follow that roadmap. I belong to the American College of OBGYN, which has its own stipulations and guidelines. And because I'm a member, I have to aspire to practice in a means consistent with the guidelines that they have. When a patient comes to me for an opinion, and I give that opinion, it is incumbent upon me to make sure that I have all the information necessary, that I have attended all the up-to-date conferences that deal with that issue, so that I can offer that best opinion. When the patient asks me for a second opinion, I don't feel that is a threat. Quite the contrary, I welcome that because of several reasons. One, it is holding me accountable for the education and the knowledge of, as you said, the economy constantly changing, in this case, medicine constantly changing. It also improves the quality of the patient, in this case, the citizens, in my analogy, of believing in us and feeling comfortable that we are making the best decision possible. So that is my analogy as far as not being afraid to ask the questions.
But let me tell you this, I support the concept based on the fact that I will make a commitment to follow through with it. But I'm telling you right up front what they're gonna tell you. You have, you're underfunded, you over-abuse your employees, you don't pay them enough. Right there, are we willing to raise their pay for the job description that merits it? If we can answer that question and say, yes, we'll do whatever it takes to do that, then, you know, we should question ourselves whether we want to pursue this or not. Because if they compare us to other cities, which they will, and it comes back that the city manager should make $200,000 a year, are we willing to do that?
I think that's one
We can't even balance our
specific
budget.
point.
That's what, I'm just telling you, this is where we're headed. This is where we're headed, because the most obvious right now is that the employees haven't gotten a pay raise in 4 years.
I think that was everybody's concern.
So when it comes back and tells you, hey, you should have given them a raise 4 years ago and they're underpaid to begin with, are we willing to correct that? So, you know, going for RFQs, no problem. Don't be
Move to
surprised
approve.
at the price tag.
Second.
We have a motion, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. City manager, just don't get anybody that'll slant it
Sir?
towards you, okay?
What's that?
Don't get somebody who's gonna slant it towards you,
Slant what toward me?
like a $300,000 salary or something.
I won't accept it. Don't worry.
Just kidding. Okay, next item.
Item number 9, consideration and action to authorize the City of Brownsville to enter into a contract with Cameron County Emergency Service District Number 1 to furnish firefighting services to the unincorporated area of Cameron County designated by Zone Number 1 on the official Fire Protection Service zone map of the CCESD.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, this contract just pretty much just, it's an annual contract that we renew every year with the county.
Have the rates been increased?
Yes, actually, they are. They have, last year, they paid out 300,000, 614,000. This year, it's increased to 342,200. That's an increase of about $41,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
If I recall, we started out at $75,000 in the 1990s.
I remember.
We weren't getting nothing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 75,000. No, that's great. Okay, we have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 11.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Item
you.
11, consideration and action on resolution number 2010-077 to assign recovery zone bond limitation to the Brownsville Housing Authority pursuant to the American Recovery and Reinvestment Tax Act of 2009 for the purpose of issuing recovery zone economic development bonds.
Honorable Mayor, City Commissioners, as part of the American Recovery Act, the City of Brownsville and also the Cameron County received an allocation of bond money from the IRS, and it is an allocation at this point. With me is Mr. Antonio Juarez with the Brownsville Housing Authority. He is asking for a request to assign those allocations to the Brownsville Housing Authority, and he's gonna go over his request. He's got a brief presentation for you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners. Thank you for placing this two items on the agenda. These recovery zone bonds are part of the stimulus package, and the request from the Brownsville Housing Authority is for the city to assign the bonds to the Housing Authority. Basically, there's two type of bond. Well, item number 10, we're looking at the recovery economic zone bonds. 1.6 from the city. The county assigned 2.2 to the Housing Authority, so we could use approximately 3.9 million to build some public housing, and we're planning to use this in the Ponciera area. This is located in McDavid. Currently, those units are abandoned, and that's what we would use this funding.
Okay, any questions? Action item?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion approved, and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 12. Thank you, Mr. Juarez.
Item 12, consideration and action on resolution number 2010-078 to assign recovery zone bond limitations to the Brownsville Housing Authority pursuant to the American Recovery and Reinvestment Tax Act of 2009 for the purpose of issuing recovery zone facility bonds.
This is the second type of bonds, facility bonds, and the request is for the city to assign 2.5 million to the Housing Authority. We did receive an assignment from the county for 3.3 for a total amount of approximately 5.8 million. Now, this type of bond can only be used to build facilities that are not residential. We are applying for a grant through the HUD department, and here's a presentation, and these bonds will be used with this grant. We're integrating the Brownsville comprehensive plan that was developed by the city. There's various items, components, but what I want to show you, the grant that we're applying for, the partners are the Housing Authority, City of Brownsville, UTB, Brownsville School District, and the Public Utilities Board. The plan is to demolish Buena Vida, and this is what Buena Vida looks like on 14th Street. And here is the plan, a comprehensive plan. This is a preliminary design of what Buena Vida is going to look like. I hope I can pause this. Basically, the facility bonds will be used here on the bottom left. Well, there's two retail buildings that we're planning to use a UTB to develop part of their Gold Green Center. Use a business incubator that they have to help residents develop and implement businesses, and these facility bonds will be used to build these the retail center. And you can see the plan is also on top to build 20 UTB student apartments. So that is part of the plan.
I move to approve. Second.
Very good, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 13.
Item 13, consideration and action on resolution number 2010-079 to authorize individuals who will be authorized to sign the State of Texas purchase vouchers and request for advance or reimbursement pertaining to disaster recovery non-entitlement grant contract number DRS 0189.
Honorable Mayor, this is the state requirement. They want a listing of the mayor pro tem, the finance director, the city manager, and myself to sign and communicate with the agency. Any documents that are forthcoming with the disaster money. It's just the process. Ask for your approval of the resolution.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 14.
Number 14, consideration and action on resolution number 2010-080 to authorize the submission of the contract amendment request for the Disaster Recovery Fund contract between the City of Brownsville and the Texas Department of Rural Affairs, contract number DRS 010018.
Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners, the City of Brownsville does have an existing contract with the Department of Rural Affairs for hurricane disaster money. We would like to add some of the following projects to the contract. Culverts at Eagle Drive, culverts at VICC, the Reed Street Retention Pond, Phase 2. We ask for your approval of this resolution to include those items on the application.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 16.
Item 15, consideration and action to authorize the acceptance and expenditure of the Texas Department of Transportation Selective Traffic Enforcement Program comprehensive grant awarded to the Brownsville Police Department in the amount of $97,597.21 for fiscal year 2011.
Mayor, City Commissioners, good evening. Seeking authorization this evening to accept a Selective Traffic Enforcement Program STEP grant award from Texas Department of Transportation in the amount of $97,597.21. The reimbursement share for the City of Brownsville will be $75,730.04. The matching portion of this will, $21,367.17 will come from the federal forfeiture account.
Vote approved.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 16.
Item 16, consideration and action to authorize and execute an interlocal agreement between the City of Brownsville, Texas, Cameron County Tax Assessor's Office, Cameron County District Attorney's Office, the City of McAllen, Texas, the City of FAR, Texas, and the City of Edinburgh, Texas regarding a mutual aid law enforcement task force.
Second.
We got a motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item 17, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase, delivery, and installation of a chilled water AC system and energy-efficient lighting for City Plaza.
Vote approved.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Item 18, consideration and action to award a contract for the Recreation Center renovations and improvements for the City of Brownsville Parks and Recreation Department.
Vote approved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. That was easy.
Adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.